Day 4 of our trip is spent in Chapultepec Park, but we have to get there first. Our first stop is the nearby subway station. Near the subway entrance is another interesting site, after which the subway station is named Salto del Agua. Inaugurated in 1779, this fountain was the end of the Chapultepec Aqueduct, which brought water from a spring on the hill in Chapultepec Park. The inscription on the southern side of the fountain reads, "The distance from the outlet of the pool to this tank is 3.9 kilometers, and from here to the bridge of Chapultepec, there are 904 arches." The Chapultepec Aqueduct existed since the days of Tenochtitlan. There were two waterways on top of the arches. While one was cleaned, the other would carry water. Some arches were spared when the aqueduct was torn down to open new city streets. The fountain, which is a replica, is actually a reservoir done in Baroque style. It is a shell-shaped bowl decorated with fish which seem to be swimming down toward the water, and nude boys are riding the fish. There are also women looking like goddesses. The street here is Arcos de Belén, named after the arches of the aqueduct in the Belén district it runs through. We then get on the subway, passing 4 stops, also passing the Pink Zone, where we will have eaten at least once during our trip, until we get to the Chapultepec stop. Chapultepec means Hill of the Grasshopper in Nahuatl. It is one of the biggest city parks in the world at 2.5 square miles, and it is the biggest in Latin America. It receives an average of 50,000 visitors daily. It is planted with cedar trees and ancient water cypress trees. There are many fountains and statues here. For many years, the springs here supplied the city with water. The residence of the president is located in an area of the park called Los Pinos. The park is divided into 3 sections, the first section being the most visited. This section contains most of the park's attractions, including its zoo, the Museum of Anthropology, the castle, and more. This was once a stronghold of the Toltecs. Later, it became the summer residence of the Aztec rulers. Aztecs already had a kind of aqueduct that conveyed water from springs here to the Temple district. During the battle between Cortes and the Aztecs, the Spaniards destroyed part of the aqueducts to prevent water from getting to the main part of the city. One of the first Spanish viceroys dedicated Chapultepec Park to Emperor Carlos V, ordering a fence be built around it to keep animals in and prevent people from hunting them. But later, King Philip II of Spain issued a royal decree which gave the park to the city in 1530. Now the park was for everyone. When we arrive via subway, our very first stop is here at the monument to the child heroes. You can see part of the monument ahead with Chapultepec Castle in the background. 6 cadets were killed defending the castle against American forces during the Mexican-American War on September 13, 1847. The castle was a military academy at the time. American forces were led by General Winfield Scott. The U.S. invaded after many conflicts with Santa Anna. This monument was inaugurated in 1947 on the 100th anniversary of their sacrifice. Their remains are in crystal and silver urns under the monument. 6 marble pillars represent the 6 cadets. Near the top of each pillar is a bronze eagle. The tops are bronze flames or torches. The central figure is the motherland with 2 of the cadets, 1 dead, 1 standing. September 13th is a national holiday in Mexico now in honor of these cadets. This spot makes for a great picture. Here is the leader of the American forces, Winfield Scott, and Santa Anna, leader of the Mexican forces at the time. From the monument, we take a winding uphill walk to Chapultepec Castle. On the way up the hill, we'll see a statue of Jose Maria Morelos, who continued the fight for independence after Miguel Hidalgo was captured and killed by firing squad. Unfortunately, Morelos had the same fate. At this site was originally the palace of an Aztec emperor. In the 1780s, it was built as a summer residence by Spanish viceroy, but later abandoned. In 1841, a military academy occupied and expanded the building. In 1847, as already mentioned, it was defended by the military cadets against U.S. forces during the Mexican-American War. One cadet supposedly jumped to his death with the Mexican flag to avoid its capture. Napoleon III, nephew of Napoleon Bonaparte, tried to get a foothold in the New World while the U.S. was busy in the Civil War. In 1862, he sent French troops to invade Mexico. In 1863, the French troops were defeated in Puebla in the famous Battle of May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. In 1864, Maximilian of Habsburg was crowned Emperor of Mexico. Napoleon III installed him as emperor. He ruled from 1864 through 67. He remodeled much of the castle and constructed what is now the Paseo de la Reforma, one of the busiest and most well-known streets in Mexico City. His wife Carlota designed the gardens of the second floor of the castle. Benito Juarez was, of course, forced to flee the capital at this time. When U.S. Civil War was done, Napoleon was forced to withdraw his support of Maximilian, who lived in the castle. This is the only royal castle in North America that was actually used as a residence of a sovereign. In 1867, Maximilian was shot by Benito Juarez's forces. His wife in Europe went crazy, and Juarez once again president until his death in 1872. The castle was again abandoned, but later used as residence by Porfirio Diaz. In 1939, President Lázaro Cárdenas decided it should house the National Historical Museum, and so it does. Furnished rooms of Emperor Maximilian and Carlota can be seen in the castle. Some of the rooms lived in by Porfirio Diaz can also be seen. Murals in the castle are by Orozco, Siqueiros, and O'Gorman. This is one on the ceiling of one of the child heroes plunging to his death with a Mexican flag in his hand. The central figure in this mural is the Father of Independence, Father Miguel Hidalgo. Here is a view from the castle with statues of the 6 cadet heroes. Again, the smog conceals a much better view into the distance. The watchtower of the castle is known as Caballero Alto, or the Tall Knight, and the fountain with a grasshopper reminds us that Chapultepec means Hill of the Grasshopper. There are some interesting stained glass windows and paintings on the upper floor. Among the sites here is a statue grouping on the left and a bust of Lázaro Cárdenas, because of whom this castle is now a history museum. After visiting the castle, we head back down the winding road past the lake to where the voladores perform. They perform almost daily. One of the most popular features in the first section of the park is this artificial lake where paddle boats and small rowboats can be rented. We pass this lake on the way to see the voladores. The performance takes place near the Museum of Anthropology. The ritual consists of dance and the climbing of a 30-meter pole from which 4 of the 5 participants then launch themselves, tied with ropes, to descend to the ground upside down. The 5th remains on top of the pole, dancing and playing a flute and a drum. According to one myth, the ritual was created to ask the gods to end a severe drought. The modern-day voladores typically circle the pole 13 times each for a total of 52 circuits, or the number of years in the Aztec rebirth. Today, the performers are Totonac Indians from the Veracruz area. After watching the voladores, we go right next door to our next stop, the Museum of Anthropology. The museum was built in 1964 by architect Pedro Ramirez Vázquez. At the time, it was also a museum of history until that part was expanded and placed in Chapultepec Castle. Outside the museum is this 167-ton monolith, once thought to be Tlaloc, the god of rain, but now thought to be his sister, Chalchiuhtlicue, carved between the 3rd century and the 7th century. The museum has 23 rooms, 12 on the ground floor devoted to archaeology, 11 on the upper floor dedicated to ethnology, showing features of the present-day indigenous populations. The patio has a column or water fountain where the water is constantly circulating, symbolizing the cycle of life. Among the models is a replica of a corner of the temple of Quetzalcoatl in original colors. This statue is Coatlicue, a goddess, mother of gods and man. She is portrayed as a beheaded woman from whose neck two large serpent heads emerge. Her necklace is made of human hearts, hands, and a skull. Her skirt is a mass of serpents. Her feet are eagle talons penetrating the world of the dead. The skirt symbolizes the earth and her necklace the life and death of sacrificial victims. These Atlantean figures, the Colossus of Tula, were used to support stone tables or altars. Here you can again see a model of the Zocalo area in the times of the Aztecs, and the painting above shows how what is now Mexico City started on the islands of this lake, Lake Texcoco. The sunstone La Piedra del Sol, the famous Aztec calendar made of basalt, was discovered in 1790 during excavations at the Zocalo. It was carved in 1479 and stood in the great temple at the Zocalo. Aztecs believed the world would end after a 52-year cycle. They would destroy temples and possessions in preparation, but would rebuild if the world didn't end. This is what the stone looked like before the color faded. On the left you see the Chalchiulique statue, goddess of water, a stone jaguar, and a replica of Montezuma's headdress. This is one of the gigantic Olmec heads. Outside there are replicas of Mayan buildings. While here we will eat lunch, probably just before viewing the museum. Then afterwards it's either a stroll around more of the park or back to the hotel. We go back the way we arrived, but perhaps we'll stop for a picture like this one on the way. Just stand in front of the wings. Tonight we will probably eat at the hotel, since we will be seeing the Ballet Folklorico at the nearby Palace of Fine Arts. And so ends Day 4.